Hi everybody! I want to talk to you about Archons today. I have been doing some serious Archon studying the last few weeks, and that's not me watching other YouTube videos, that's me actually in the field doing energy work on myself, on other people, and coming across Archons in a way that I feel it's time for me to actually understand this phenomenon on a more deeper, more meaningful, more profound level than I'm currently understanding it. So, Archons are energy parasites. They look like octopuses, squids. They have many, many arms, and those arms go into you all over the place, and they latch onto you. So, if I go into someone's energy field and I want to remove one, oftentimes you can literally just pull them off. But sometimes, if they're helping you overcome a vulnerability, then for me to remove it, I have to go deeper than the Archon attachment itself in order to find out what it is that you need to work on. So Archons attach to what makes us vulnerable, and then they make it harder for us to overcome the vulnerability. So when we overcome the vulnerability, we'll never become vulnerable again, right? Because it was so ridiculously hard that we got to the end of this and we said no more. So you see how they're helping us? Okay, so how do they manipulate us? This has been something I've been trying to figure out, is what is the Archon frequency? What is the frequency they're working under, and how do we detect when we have Archon attachments? Archons, there's like bajillion Archons. They're some sort of alien race. Some of them are totally mindless. Some of them have more of a conscious awareness. They work with our pleasure senses, and pleasure senses as in sexuality. So this is important. I'm going to talk a little bit about energy downloads. So people talk about light codes, when the stars are shifting and we're moving in alignment and all that. We're receiving new energy downloads and light codes every single day, all day long. We're receiving downloads from the universe constantly. We have no clue it is taking place, but it's just being downloaded into our very blood, and we're receiving it within ourselves, and it's inspiring us in new ways. New approaches to life, new approaches to thinking, new approaches to people. It inspires human ascension one day at a time, right? So Archons work right under our noses as well. They work with energy downloads, what you would define as energy downloads, because they're in your energy field. All right, they're not physically here. We don't physically see them, but we do get physically what is the way, how do I describe it? They do inspire shifts in our choices and our behaviors that can be physically disruptive, right? So when those many arms enter in, much like tree roots, what do they do when they get into the soil? They absorb nutrients. They're absorbing our energies, all right? And as they absorb our energies, they're emitting secretions of pleasure, energy pleasure, influencing us to keep doing the exact same thing. So as they're being fed by us, they're receiving joy juice. and it's going straight into our sacral chakra, just so you know, our sexual bodies. And it's energy information. It's energy information. And that's why we become attached to negativity, negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative choices. It sounds like they're a really terrible thing, but the only way to get rid of an Archon is to overcome yourself. They just keep coming. They'll just keep coming until you start learning how to love yourself. So I had some interesting experiences. Joe and I have been really going deep into this Archon thing, and we both now have a Archon removal option, because removing Archons gives you the ability to have clarity in a way that you weren't able to access it, because they kind of cover up what the true you is actually all about. Because they're blocking that energy flow, because they're feeding off of you and inspiring negativity, but they're giving you joy juice to keep you doing the same thing. That's why we need to be more self-observant. That's why we need to really take the bull by the horns here and start working with love. They can't attach to love. They can't attach to light. They're not even hungry for love or light. They're hungry for what is vulnerability. Okay? They're here to help us. Believe it or not, they are here to help us. So, any type of negativity we send to them only encourages more of them. They're no different than the demon or the negative entity. They're all the same. So if I want to remove a demon, I don't remove a demon by yelling at it. I don't remove a demon by taking a knife and stabbing it. Archangel Michael's sword is not for cutting into demons. It's full of light and love, and is to share that love with the heart of demons or negative entities or whatever. So the more love that we emit, the more love we share with ourselves, each other, the more power that we have to literally heal everything and release the Archons as well. So I had, so like I've been saying, I'm trying to get to this point here. I did some journey work on Joe, and he was doing journey work on me. So we both did Archon removals on each other. So you've been super, like, I mean, I am working on myself all the time. So we have so many infinite pockets of information. The more and more we clean that out, the brighter we become, right? But there's just so many infinite pockets, you know? You can only do so much in a single lifetime. But as we've been removing and we've been learning about them, trying to make sense of them. And I will say that one night, this is several days ago, I just couldn't stop thinking about these Archons, just couldn't stop thinking about them. And I went to bed and I felt so much love in my heart for Archons that I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, which is the devil hour, which is the Archon hour. So I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I just expressed from my heart, Archons, will you help me to understand what you see as my greatest vulnerability? And I fell asleep, and I entered into a very interesting dream. And you can tell when it's a dream, and you can tell when it's more than just a dream. I would define this as an astral dream because it was based on reality, and I felt like it was real life. So I was going towards the door, and then there's my garage, and I noticed the door was open. And there was this big bulge of energy that comes bulging through the door, and I'm instantly just set off. I'm instantly like, what do you think you're doing? You don't belong in here. You need to get out of here. Why are you in my house? And he just like shouldered me, went past me, went to the stairs, went up the stairs, and I go to the stairs, and I'm just like, what are you doing here? And I was just like, on and on. No, you get out. You get out. And I was pointing, and I was expressing myself. And I looked into the energy. Just for a brief moment, it was like time stopped. And I was trying to figure out what is this? And I saw this sort of grotesque looking man. And this is basically what woke me up because it was so creepy. And so this grotesque looking man, he had like a rotten, moldy face, and he was wearing a white shirt, white pressed iron shirt, white pants, like a milkman or, ice cream man from back in the day, something like this. The little white hat. But his skin was all like moldy and decaying. And I looked at him, and I just couldn't make sense of this. And I suddenly woke up, and I was like, oh my gosh, the Archons spoke to me. They spoke to me. And I was like, well, wait a second. What were they telling me? I don't understand. So I was trying to figure this out, and whenever I have weird dreams, I actually always talk to Cryon about it. And Cryon, like the Lee Carroll Cryon, Cryon's one of my best friends. And I said, Cryon, I said no. How come he didn't go? How come I couldn't get him to leave? How come no wasn't enough? And Cryon said, well, how did you say no? I said, well, I mean, I was angry. And I felt like he violated me. I felt like he violated my space. He violated my world. And he disrespected me when he didn't respond to no. And Cryon was showing me how all of these emotions are reflections of deeper wounded places within myself. Instead of belligerently saying no and screaming at him, why not say, what can I do to help you today? we're working with an energy world, not the human world. So it's different, but it's also, they overlap as well. So there's something about groundedness and really becoming well-rounded in the way that I feel about things instead of just belligerently reacting. So this was powerful. I mean, this was powerful. We're told that you saying no is enough, but we have to ask ourselves the question, how are we saying no? And this type of energy, I really had to think about how have I used this type of energy in different ways throughout my life. And I really could pinpoint that I use this energy a lot. And why do I use it? And where is it coming from? And, it always seems to stem back to childhood, of course. But the thing is, when we can start to pinpoint what it is that we need to work on, now we can actually grow. So you see, the Archons actually got through to me, helped me to see something about myself, and helped me to find a way to really work on this, Okay. Do you feel like you know a lot about Archons now? Do you feel like Archons are the end of the world? Like they're disgusting, they're terrible, they're bad? Any type of negative energy that we emit attracts negative energy, okay? So if you really have a vulnerable feeling about Archons, then you need to explore why and where is that coming from. I know a lot of the negative energy is a lot of hurt human beings. We feel that life should be a certain way. We were taught that it was supposed to be happy, and if we did these things, we would live a joyful life. But so many people are so unhappy, and we're tired, and we don't want to keep working, and it just doesn't seem to work, and we can't seem to overcome these things. And when we get stuck in the mud, and then we're going down the tar pits with the dinosaurs, and we can't get out, and we need an answer to this. It has to be the Archons, and if the Archons weren't here, then I could finally just be me. If the reptilian shapeshifters weren't here, then I could just finally know who I am. We could actually be a human race. We don't have to destroy the planet anymore. This is all part of the manipulation of the Archon. Because we already are love. And the sooner that we can discover that we already are love, we've always been love, they've completed their role. And now they can move on. So whatever you can do to feel at peace with the Archon presence, you'll release Archons just doing that. Because some of the Archon attachments are the hatred of Archons themselves and Archon attachments. So you'll have Archon attachments because you hate Archons. Don't hate them. Accept them, I think is the best way to put it. Accept their presence, relate to how difficult times teach us to become stronger people. So they're influencing us to become stronger people. But in the end, again, it comes back to love. It always comes back to love. So I will say Joseph did a journey with Archons recently that I found fascinating. Because we're having this Archon studying phenomenon the last few weeks, it's been a total calling to look into this more deeply, to figure out how Archon removal is helpful, which it actually is, to figure out why they're there on a deeper understandable level, to figure out how they're manipulating us. I mean, we've been studying this stuff just through the work that we do. And I will say that Joseph gave me a sneak peek as to what he experienced. It was not at all what he thought. But it's also kind of what we both had thought all along. And he does a journey. It's kind of long. It's like 40-minute journey to where Archons come from. And it's going to blow your mind. I haven't gotten the pleasure of watching it just yet, but I am going to put a link so you guys can watch it. I'm definitely going to watch it. Joe told me all the juicy details, and I was just like, no way. Oh my gosh, really? That's wow. All the while, we're soaking up all this learning and understanding, and I just can't wait to share it with all of you, which is why I'm making this video. So Joe and I are gonna, we're sharing a gift to the world, which is perspective on Archons, and I hope it helps. If any of you are interested in exploring Archon removal, with Joe or I, or with Joe and I, we've got a session for literally everything. Please visit me at my website. at Abbey Normal's wisdomquest.com. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.